Hey everybody, I'm going to start phase one of this big assemblage board. If you haven't checked my community posts, I've been talking about starting this. I started with just an old board. I think this was a shelf from my grandmother's china cabinet, and it's been with me for a really long time, and I just keep waiting for something to strike me as to what to do with it. I decided that's what I'm going to do with it. I'm going to make an assemblage on it. So I gave it a coat of white gesso, cleaned it really good with crud cutter, which is like a TSP substitute because it was grimy from being around forever. Gave it a coat of white gesso, and then I gave it a coat of DIY mineral based paint. It's like a chalk paint. That's the gray color. I just wanted something neutral to start with. And then I used modeling paste and these 3 stencils and just randomly got texture all over the board. And it's been drying for 24-ish hours. Yesterday I poked around online looking for focal point images because I think sort of off center I want an image of a woman here, and then I will build the assemblage and collage around her. So I would love it if you guys help me choose. Let's see if we get everybody in frame here. This is number 1. She's pretty quirky with the bees all over her. This is number 2. Just kind of a Victorian lady with a big hat and a fan. This is number 3. I just really like, it's an old cabinet card, but look at that chatelaine she has hanging on her waist. It's bodacious. This is number 4. It's a little more modern looking and more vintage grunge, I guess, as opposed to actually being vintage. I know I couldn't decide. I have a lot of choices. I really like this one, the lady with the camera. Not crazy about this. I think I'm just going to even take her out of the mix. So this is 5. There will be no 6. And then these are more modern steampunk images. So this is 7 and this is 8. I'm going to try to put these pictures on a new community post, and then you guys go over there and let me know which one you'd like to see on here, and then I will take whichever one we decide and size it to go on here. Let me show you just quickly. I'm not going to go through everything, but I pulled out a lot of stuff. And these are just options. So I have some PC boards or little, electronic pieces that came out of whatever they came out of, computers or whatever. Little frames, springs, and there's a light bulb, an old compact. That's a screen from a electric razor. There's hardware in here, little wooden pieces. I've got jewelry pieces, some letterpress punctuation, lots of beads and cast off jewelry pieces, some buttons, some little pencils. And this is all just old hardware in here, O-rings and fittings and that kind of thing. I have some capacitors. So as I was gathering, I was thinking steampunk, I guess, which I guess I'm still thinking that, or something along those lines. That's what keeps coming back into my head for this project. So I think any of those focal images would work with the steampunk theme. I have a lot more things pulled out, but I'm not going to go through all of those. I'll just choose them as we go, and you'll see them then. I am going to put on some gloves and cover this whole thing now with just black acrylic gesso. And I know you don't ever see me wear gloves, but I have this pretty manicure that I don't want to mess up. Aren't they pretty? Color Street nail strips. I'll put the link in the description box. They have tons and tons of designs and colors. They wear like iron. I always put a gel polish top coat on them, but I just did them and I don't want them full of gesso because it is kind of hard to take off, and then they don't last as long. But I really hate working with gloves on. Sacrifices we make for having pretty nails, right? And I'm gonna just grab a big brush, and this is just my base color. Not necessarily gonna end up being totally black. I will probably use metallics out over top of this, either dry brush or use some waxes or whatever. All of the hardware stuff that I picked out is going to have to be degreased so it will stick when I put it on here. So that's going to be a job and a half, because that stuff all came out of my dad's workshop and it's been there, some of it forever, I'm sure, probably since the 60s. I might put some crackle medium on this at some point too before I start gluing things down. At this point I don't know how much of this background is going to show. I'm not sure design wise, composition wise, where I'm going to put the assemblage elements. I don't think I want to cover the entire thing with stuff. So there will be areas that you'll see the background. I just don't know at this point which areas, so I'm just going to treat it as though you'll see the whole background, and then whatever shows will look good. So this is probably as far as I'm going to take this. This will be, if you haven't been following my discussion on my community tab, I'm going to do this big project in a series of videos. So it'll go kind of phase by phase, this just being the prepping the board and background phase, and then maybe the next one will have to be choosing whatever elements I am going to use to put down on here after I get them cleaned. And I will probably start by covering most of them with a coat of black gesso as well, depending on what they are. But like those PC boards, yeah, they can't stay green. They're going to have to get painted. So that's kind of the approach I'm taking. So if you aren't subscribed or you don't have notifications on and you want to watch this whole process, just subscribe and hit my bell so that you'll get notified when I upload another video in this series, or when I post on my community tab about where we're going next. So I think I'm going to leave it here for today. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to move on. I have another project in mind, and I'll probably upload that at the same time I do this one, which will probably be tomorrow morning, tomorrow being Friday, April 30th, I think. So I'm just going to dry this and set it aside and start working on something else. So thanks for joining me. I hope you'll watch this process. Leave me a comment down below or on the community tab, either one, as to if you have a suggestion as to which of those focal points you like the best. And in the meantime, go make some art. Bye.